Hello, I'm Justin Talbot. I decided I'm going to get really stoned, order a bunch of Indian food, and watch the Universal's classic horror movie nonsense. Just a fun little idea. If you don't know, the original like Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Invisible Man, all that good jazz, they're all in the same universe. So everybody thinks that Marvel is the very first universe to do that. But no, 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 no. There have been cinematic universes before. Yeah, that's right, baby. Universal beat it to it, okay? That's right. Universal beat Disney, and that's all that matters. Am I right? And also, Kevin Smith also was kind of doing that too, just saying. So, you know, it's not just the MCU is basically what I'm saying. We got to just stop. We got to stop saying they're the first ever to do this because they weren't. Okay. First, there was Frankenstein and Dracula and other stuff. I only watched three so far. So I decided I'm going to watch these movies. Also, like the thing that actually really turned me into doing it, because usually every Halloween, I'm always rewatching the same movies. It's always the Nightmare on Elm Street film series, or it is Scream, or, it's just the classic like family horror movies like the Halloween Town film series. I don't know why I keep going back to fucking Halloween Town, but this is my life. But yeah, no, I'm always like into like lighthearted stuff, I guess, when it comes to horror. It's not that I get scared easily much at all. I'm a man. I'm a man. I can watch scary stuff alone at night. But I decided, you know what? I'm gonna switch it up. I'm not gonna go to the usual. I'm gonna go to the very beginning. That's right, guys. I'm not gonna watch Hotel Transylvania. I'm not gonna watch Adam Sandler be Dracula. No, I'm going to the OG. Bella Lugosi. He plays Dracula. There's so many of these movies, and they're super short as well. They're all like under an hour and a half. I believe I can do that. And I started off with the ones that are most notable, the ones that had a lot of remakes and people just know about it. It's parody enough. So I decided to do Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Invisible Man. So I decided to go with the three most the most. Yeah, we're gonna have a fun time editing this, Elijah. Maybe smoking too much weed was the mistake. Anyways, I decided to do the first three like franchise, the beginning of franchises that people know the most out of this entire monster universal franchise. So I'm going to start this little shebang with the one that started it all, really, which was Dracula. But before I do that, Elijah said that I should come up with a fun name for these reviews that I'm going to do, like with this little stance that I got right here. And I have decided to go with House of a Thousand Popcorns instead of corpses. You know, shout out to Rob Zombie. I heard that his Monsters reboot is a success. So let's start off with the one that started it all. It is Dracula. And Dracula was a hoot, guys. It was the very first one out of this entire franchise. Like I said, this is the Iron Man of the monsters universe. This without this one, there would be no others. But the thing is that all of these things, similar to the MCU, I guess I ain't comparing this to the MCU, but that's all you kids know nowadays. So all these movies, they were based off of a book or a short story. So this one was directed by Todd Browning, and it has that guy Bela Lugosi. Hopefully, I'm gonna get your name right by the end of just doing this entire thing. So he plays a titular character. He plays Dracula, and my God, he is the reason to watch Dracula. He is amazing. His face is super menacing. He does have this kind of charm to him. He has this thing about him as well. Like right when he enters a room, you're immediately like terrified of him. You don't want to see his bad side. Like he's smiling when he walks in the room. He looks pretty chill, but you could tell he could turn on you any moment. I don't think you would assume that he would suck your blood, but that's what he's into. Like, it's to each their own. It starts off with Dracula having this young dude come by to help with some business with his castle in Transylvania, and he really just brings this guy. This guy's Reinfeld, and Reinfeld. Oh my God, he poor guy. Dwight Fryer plays him. He's just trying to do his job, man. Count Dracula calls him, and he basically just uses him so he can be his assistant, so he can go on to his next destination that's not in Transylvania, but to search more people for blood. So he hypnotizes them, and he takes a little bit of his blood, and he affects him in a sort of way, which he's kind of like the only person that once he's like under his spell, he's a madman now. Reinfeld is clearly lost his mind, and then Dracula has most of his brain. Has most of his brain. I can talk, but he's still like even though like he craves blood, he doesn't want to eat humans. Like he wants to eat like bugs and snakes and shit like that. He doesn't want to eat people. He doesn't want to be a monster, quote unquote. So then Dracula finds himself in like this mansion type thing. He meets these girls and this guy. That's like kind of like one of my main problems with this movie is that like the plot is just kind of like all over the place. It's just Dracula just kind of just going place to place, draining their blood, and then going on to the next one. And then he somehow stumbles his way to Van Helsing, and Van Helsing, he just kind of just immediately is like, don't trust him. I don't like this. Also, all these people are dying from a loss of blood, and they just have two little pricks right here. Hate to be this guy. I know it sounds weird, but that guy's a vampire. We're gonna have to kill him, and that's what happens. And then the movie ends. That's Dracula right there. I've never read Dracula, like the original, I guess, masterpiece. I don't know. So I don't know if it was like following the source material. That's exactly how it happened, or if it was more like Mom's Got a Date with the Vampire. Where there's some more shenanigans happening. But yeah, no, it's pretty. It just like ends, and that's my only like problem with it is like I was really into the performances here, and I was into the characters for the most part. I was really just into Dracula. The movie's called Dracula. You are following him, and just like seeing him just going from place to place was entertaining. And the guy's performance, it's over the top, and it's definitely of its time, but it's very, very good. And like I said, you are scared of him. He's like kind of likable at first, but you just don't want to see his bad side. And his bad side leads to you dying, which sucks. So yeah, so overall Dracula is a good time because of the performances, but I did not like the ending. And also it's a movie that was made in 1931, so of course we're gonna have some pacing issues, and this movie definitely has it. I really could have used a better ending though. I was expecting a little bit more, some stuff going on. It was just kind of like, okay. But there are sequels, so who knows? There's more story to tell. This is only the first, and luckily for Dracula and its property, it has so many different versions. I'm gonna go watch Hotel Transylvania after this. So yeah, Dracula. If I would have to give it out of 5, I'd probably give this a 3.5 out of 5. It's still a fun time, but I just wish it had a little bit more meat on its bones. Yeah, that's right. We're moving on to a much better chapter in this weird franchise that we have. This monstrous franchise. We have Frankenstein, baby. Frankenstein. This movie was so much fun to watch. It's not just better than Dracula. It's just fun to watch because I've actually never seen the original Frankenstein ever. And so the entire time I was watching it, I'm like thinking, I like thought to myself, I have seen this. I have seen Frankenstein. I'm a movie guy. I've seen Frankenstein. I've seen like every other Frankenstein besides this. And as I was watching this, I realized that most of the things that I thought was from the original Frankenstein was actually just in Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein. It just made me really appreciate that movie so much more. It made me love Mel Brooks's version of this because you could tell he actually really loved this movie because he nails some of these scenes. And they're not even just like flat out parody. Like you can just tell he really, really loves this. And I understand why, man. James Whale, who directed the OG Frankenstein, he kills it. Like it's a perfect, almost perfect monster movie. It's fantastic. Everyone does a great job. It's very, very campy, and has those backdrops, but it just works so well with the style. Colin Clive is who plays Henry Frankenstein, is great because he's just losing his mind this entire movie. He's just losing it. Like he really, really wants to create life. He wants to be God. Like he's not just doing this for science anymore. He wants to play God. Yeah, he does a great job. The part where like he really gets the monster to move, he really just starts wigging out. He doesn't care who's there at all because he's been out of work and people are like worried about him. So people come by, they're like, hey, Henry, you doing good? And he's like, you know what? Come into my laboratory. I stole a dead body, and also I stole a brain, and I'm gonna get this her to life. And everyone was just like, okay, Henry. And then it happens, and everyone's like, oh, he's just screaming, it's alive. I'm God. I am God. And everyone was like, okay, dude, let's go upstairs and get you some coffee. But yeah, no, Colin Clive did a great job. Also, Boris Karloff as the monster, who has done a lot of things. I was looking him up, and he plays the mummy in The Mummy. But there's also something that was interesting. He voiced the Grinch in the original Grinch special that aired on ABC, which I thought was just beautiful. But yeah, no, his performance is really great as well. He's very menacing. He's very sad too. Like, you feel really bad for this guy, even though like the brain is from like a demented person. You can just see there's like something in his eyes where he's like, I don't want this. Like, yeah, no, you got some sadness in your eyes, but you're also, yeah, you need to be put down. You're like a rabid dog. You need to be put in a cage for a little bit because you're an animal. It was great. I had a good time with it. Frankenstein definitely had a better conclusion than Dracula did. Like, I felt like there was a lot more going on, especially with the town all coming together and being like, okay, you know what, he's like causing mischief and stuff. He's scary, but now he kills a little girl and everyone's like, okay, fuck this guy. All right, he's killed other people before, but everyone was just kind of like, was not expecting for a 30s movie to go that dark. Like, once it gets to that, that's when the town is like, okay, that's it, we're killing the monster now. And even Frankenstein is like, totes, man, I fucked up. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. No cap. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. I'm just trying to get the kids lingo nowadays. They just capture Frankenstein and then they burn him. They, at least you think they burn him alive. That's what I like about starting these kinds of movies from the beginning, because I really don't know if these movies even tie together like the other Frankenstein movies or the other Dracula movies. It's a whole new world out there for the monster universe for this guy right here. So this is actually pretty exciting, because I don't know if the monster Frankenstein's actually dead or if they just create another monster. Because I know the next one is Bride of Frankenstein. So clearly, like, does Frankenstein, does Dr. Frankenstein resurrect him so that he can get laid? Maybe he thinks that getting laid will help him calm his urges or something like that. I don't know. That's what I'm assuming it's about. I've always just wondered. But yeah, if I had to give Frankenstein a score out of 5, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I thought this was a lot better than Dracula, even though we don't have that charming performance. We have more of a manic, kind of crazy one, who kind of makes you uncomfortable a little bit. Everybody did a great job here, and James Whale too, which I'm pretty sure he's directed a lot of these movies as well. He's directed The Invisible Man as well. Look at that. Yeah. See, James Whale was the Jon Favreau of the. I keep referencing Marvel. I need to stop that. Yeah, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed Frankenstein, but not like I enjoyed this next one. Next one and final one that we're going to be talking about in this episode. The Invisible Man is by far, I don't want to like just jump right into my opinion of it, but this one was my favorite one of the bunch so far. This one scared me the most. Like, it did. Claude Rains plays Dr. Jack Griffin, aka the Invisible Man, and his performance, he is terrifying. And the thing is that it's mostly his voice the entire movie. You don't see his face until the very end. He's terrifying in this movie. He kind of like, if I had to close my eyes, I would have thought it was like Mark Hamill, like doing like the Joker. Like, he was like he had like this maniacal laugh, and you could tell like as the movie progresses, he just keeps getting crazier and crazier, and he just like wants to be this villain really bad. So, and he has like nothing to lose too. He doesn't even give. So that's why it was just so terrifying. Also, the effects at the time. Of course, they're dated now, but the effects for the time, I could see this movie being absolutely terrifying back in the day. Like, there's one thing with Dracula. There are certain moments in Dracula that were genuinely terrifying, but it wasn't really Dracula himself. Even though the close-ups that you have of him are grotesque, but they can also be kind of comical. I mean, he was terrifying, but he was like terrifying in a very quiet sort of way. Dwight Fryer in Dracula is the one that was like the most terrifying because he's so manic. And in these movies, everyone's already so dramatic in older movies. It's always been terrifying me whenever I watch an older movie back in the 30s, and the 40s. Whenever someone's really losing it, they're really losing it. It's freaking terrifying. And that's how I felt with Claude Rains and The Invisible Man. Dr. Jack Griffin, aka The Invisible Man, definitely scared me a lot more. I just love how it starts off immediately. Like you don't ever know what this guy looks like. And I thought that was a really interesting and cool thing to do. You don't get any glimpse of who this guy used to be. You just see him and just show up to this bed and breakfast type place, and immediately this experiment has gone wrong because not only is he completely invisible, but he's losing his marbles too. Like the drugs that he's on, they're getting to his head. So he wants to find a cure before it's too late, but he's not getting enough privacy, and he's just getting stressed out. And the hotel owners, they're trying to, like, feed him and like ask him what's going on. He's not having it, and he's just stressing out until he beats one of them with a book, and then they're like, okay, buddy, you gotta get out. He's like, you guys really want me to do this? I'll fucking do it. And he just drops trowel and runs around invisibly naked, and everyone understandably freaks out. Then immediately after that, he goes to like one of his colleagues, Dr. Arthur Kemp, who's played by William Harrigan, and just says, hey, so you're my assistant now, and we're going to take over the world. We're going to rob all these people. He's like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm not Jack Griffin anymore. I'm Invisible Man. I'm Invisible Man because I'm invisible. I'm a man. Damn it. He knows who he is. This one was definitely my favorite, not just because of it being genuinely terrible, like more scary, but because there's a lot of comedy in this too, like intentional comedy too. I had such a great time with this movie. It was definitely, if I had to rank these three so far, it would definitely be Invisible Man, number one, Frankenstein, and Dracula. Again, nothing too bad on Dracula. I still enjoyed it, but definitely the most boring out of all of them. So that's what I got for you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And the next one I'm going to try to do. Oh, no. Maybe I should do. Ooh. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you guys follow us on our Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube. We're on all sorts of stuff as well. We're on Spotify. We're on Amazon. We're on Audible. We're on all the things, guys. Please subscribe, hit that like button, comment below. Which one's your favorite monster movie? Who's your favorite monster out of these three? Who do you think would be the most terrifying? I still say the Invisible Man. You have no idea where he's going, and somehow he's stronger as well, and he just doesn't give a flying. He has nothing to lose. He's literally a guy running around naked. You're just it's a scary thing. I don't know. All right. Bye.